Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay today on MP Crossroads. I am playing the Empire led by Volkmar the Grim, and we have one unholy crusade going on here against the Beastmen. So we'll go through the Beastmen army first. So my opponent has forward deployed some Ungors, a couple of Ungor spear herds, a couple of Ungor raiders, and some Warhounds out here as well. He has some more spearhead, so just buffing his line here. Pretty cheap and cheerful. But 2 units of Bestigors here, 2 Cygors, double Cygor, as well as Morgur here leading the force with his staff of Ruinous Corruption. He also has some Centaurs with throwing axes in the rear here, as well as a Beast caster here who has taken Flock of Doom and the Manticore summon, so up on the chariot as well. So a wideish force. I like how it's sort of deployed. He's got some heavy hitters in the infantry fight here, also some mobility. And as I said, for my own forces, we're really getting in theme today. 5 flagellant units, as well as the Tattered, as well as Sigmar's sons in the front line. So we've got a completely unbreakable front line, backed up by 4 units of Knights of the Blazing Sun. Don't even ask me if this is tournament legal in banner rules. It's a bit of a fun game on quick battles, so we're just mucking around. Up in the sky on the Pegasus here is the Bright Wizard, a Fire Mage, just with Fireball and Burning Head, and Volkmar is leading the force up on his chariot. He has taken the Jade Griffin as well as all his buffs. Obviously can kill just an inordinate amount of infantry up on his chariot, and also buff up the front line. Now, Grand Shield of Faith, obviously with the damage resistance, is going to be pretty crucial in this battle, because if there's one thing this force does well, it's deal damage and hold. If there's one thing this force won't do well, it's take damage. Obviously these guys in the front line, Flagellants are completely unarmored. They have no physical resistance whatsoever. If they're losing in combat, then they gain some physical resistance. But things like Ungor Raiders and that kind of thing just really shred them down. But Frenzy, if they can get their hands on any of the lighter Beastmen infantry, will struggle obviously with Bestigors. But basically everything else in this list is pretty much fodder to them if they can get in combat. So a couple of shots being ripped in from the Cygors. That one's a bit of a whiff. I'm going to go up and I'm going to do some cycle charging where I can with my Knights of the Blazing Sun. I obviously don't see any Centaurs with great weapons or anything like that may cause me some issues. And obviously on the charge, 78 charge bonus, 40 melee attack, and a good weapon strength of 42. These guys can kill basically anything on the Beastmen roster, save for probably not too bad at killing single entities, as we see a nice shot go down the flank there. But they'll kill infantry, they'll kill Bestigors on the charge, as long as they can pull out. You see on the charge here, doing some real big damage here to the Ungor spearheads. Obviously a good follow-up by my opponent with the Hounds, and we're going to pull out pretty quickly after that initial charge. But I do get a nasty sort of lock-up here on the Ungors with that move in order to get them out of dodge. But we're just going to, again, come in, cycle charge. This Ungor spearhead is probably going to break pretty soon, and you see just the charge bonus, the stats on these guys is pretty impressive, and we're able to really do some good burst damage. This Ungor spearhead, like I said, I just got so many models trapped up on these Ungor spears here that unfortunately this model has really been shut down quite well by my opponent. So some lax pathing on my behalf. But the infantry line is coming up now. The Pegasus Wizard's probably getting a little bit overextended, and we're going to have to be pretty careful now with the Bestigors. We're going to have to really do some work cycle charging, but the Flagellants at the very least will hold them in place, and Flagellants will obviously deal with Warhounds very capably. So Volkmar's going to come in here and buff this out as well. We're probably going to see some battle prayers go down, and a nice Burning Head goes down through this unit of Bestigors. Wasn't an overcast one because I'm trying to use as many of these as possible. But we put some nice damage in from here, and we have some Knights to come back in and possibly do some cycle charging. Like I said, Volkmar popping his buffs, popping Shield of Faith and the Hammer of Sigmar, as well as the Soulfire Bombardment. So that unit of Bestigors is basically shut down. We'll see the Banishment dropping over here, pretty keen to just get rid of these Centaurs if I can, and that's got some really nice, look at that, it's done about 3 laps through that Centaur unit. So some really nice RNG for me there. Getting a little bit lax here with a unit of Flagellants, but everything else has been wrapped up pretty well. We're getting into the back lines. The Ungor Raiders are sort of don't have a lot of places to hide now with the mobility of the Knights, but a nice use of the Manticore summon here, and I'm just not aware of at the moment. There's obviously a lot of micro going on with my Knights, and this Bright Wizard does not want to fight a Manticore in the air. You can see a couple of hits here is probably going to be enough to rout him, as we see the Beast Shaman over here just being locked down by the units, entities, the good mass of the Knights, as well as the Flagellant. These Flagellants over here have done a really nice job just holding up these Bestigors so that I can get another burning head down. But unfortunately, my Bright Wizard has been chased off. He will outrun the Manticore, but as the Manticore degens. But yeah, not a great. Oh, he comes back right at the wrong time there, and will probably get routed again. This tattered unit of Knights dealing with the regrouped Hounds, and now unfortunately some spawn summons from Morgul going down. This one's actually pretty nicely placed. They're not doing a lot at the moment out here, so they may degen quite considerably before they get in, but we're just trying to work down. We're just basically blobbing up around Volkmar now with the unbreakable line of troops, and hoping to get just as many of the buffs on as many of my units as possible. The Flock of Doom here is really nice. That's a big Flock of Doom. It's basically getting my entire army there, really netting some nice value for the Beast Shaman, who is now up to 75 kills, but we're going to once again shut them down, try and hold these Bestigors in place just with the tattered unit of Flagellants here. My Fire Mage has rallied on the edge of the battlefield, and can now sort of start lobbing a few fireballs in, possibly sniping out this Sigor. This Sigor has actually just been committed to the fight. It's probably a good decision, actually. Probably going to do more damage in combat with Volkmar than he will throwing rocks. And you see just my Flagellant core here, really tattered, but holding as they want to do. Realizing that now there's not much to protect these Ungor Raiders, and that the slow chip damage of their shots may be significant. Just gonna try and hound them down. Okay, obviously Knights of the Blazing Sun, even in their tattered state, are going to be able to deal with these guys. And we see this Sigor here is just going to cop fireball after fireball from the Bright Wizard. The second banishment going down from Volkmar was intended to just finish off this unit of Bestigors, but unfortunately good play by my opponent, dodges that there. But we're just getting, really trying to snipe out the value targets. We've got the Sigmar Sons here. They'll actually do reasonably well against Morgul in combat. They'll get decent attacks in on him, but we've got to try and shut down this Bear Shaman, who's just going to run a few laps around my Flagellants if we let him. But you see just the Knights of the Blazing Sun that are left now, just bouncing between targets, basically ensuring that the Ungor Spearhead here can't come back and buffer the fight, that the Ungor Raiders here get harassed and chased off. Some Hounds coming into the back here may be able to actually kill off the majority of these remaining Flagellants. But with the Grand Shield of Faith going down, at least the damage resistance is going to be pretty crucial against all the sort of charge bonus that the Hounds may have got from their recent charge. Another Fireball coming back in will just about rout off this Sigor. He's used a good deal of his ammunition, but probably hasn't had a lot of good targets. Or I say that 115 kills is not to be sneezed at. But again, seeing now with these Knights that the Brave Shaman is out here, I just want to take him out now. I don't want another Flock of Doom on, not that I have a lot of infantry left. But I'm feeling pretty good now that Volkmar's sort of healing. He's still got a fair way to go on his healing cap. We've got the Mage sitting out here just sniping, getting some shots into the back of the Sigor, who will probably rout. Morgul's also going to heal, but I'm fairly confident that with Volkmar and a few buffering units here, and even some Knights, I may be able to actually just wear him down via attrition. So I want to get rid of this Sigor, because that's a big damage dealer, potentially able to put decent hits on Volkmar. Burning Head here, probably the last of my Winds of Magic. Just wanted to get these Ungor Raiders off. I didn't think that those Flagellants were too long for the world, and we have some more Knights of the Blazing Sun once again coming back in, pinning Morgur in. Morgur, obviously, as a regenerating unit, is weak to fire, so those Knights of the Blazing Sun, every attack animation there is nice. This Sigor is shattered. This Sigor is about to die as he goes down. Drops his rock, and Volkmar will do a couple of laps around his corpse, and now we can basically just hound Morgur until he goes down. This unit of Ungor Raiders, 35 Ungor Raiders, can put some steady chip damage into Volkmar, and obviously shooting into the shirtless maniacs that are the Flagellants here are going to hurt them. But now, given that he's used his Winds of Magic, the Bright Wizard can come and shut them down. Pegasus obviously do, grant him a reasonable charge bonus, and 300 weapon strength isn't to be sneezed at. And the Knights will come here and sort of relieve him and just help him. Morgur's just gonna pound away. He finishes off the last of the Sigmar sons, so him and Volkmar are going to get into a duel now. But again, I'm just reasonably confident that Volkmar up on the chariot can probably put in the work there. He still has a bit of healing, but the Jade Griffin does sort of will out heal just natural regeneration. Call of Violence going down to pop his leadership buffs, but the Hounds will terror out, having gone around Volkmar the Grim, gotten into grips with him, and with the Knights of the Blazing Sun coming in to charge. Well, that's a good timing there on being knocked down by Morgur. But at this stage, Grand Shield of Faith, Grand Hammer of Sigmar. We have probably what it takes to take down Morgur now, and he will indeed start to break as army losses does kick in for the Beastmen. I pop a Soulfire Bombardment just for a few style points at the end, and Volkmar's Grand Crusade is victorious. Every single one of the infantry fought to the last, and to be honest, actually got reasonably good value. I think Flagellants cost, top of my head, I think they cost about 600. So, I mean, even that one's got its damage back. That one's got 450, 500. Tattersouls probably haven't quite made their value back, but the Sigmar Sons did well. They've done what they needed to do. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun have just bounced between targets and dealt with the Ungor Raiders, dealt with rallying infantry, particularly spears and that kind of thing. Even Ungors will, that's not a Flagellants will kill them quite easily, but they'll get damage in, and then then the single entities can work on Volkmar. So they've done their damage, they've done their bit. Probably got a bit lazy with one of these units. I think it might have been this one that got worked down in the start. Just a bad movement order, got a lot of the unit models stuck through. And the Bright Wizard was able to just lob fireballs, get a few burning heads down. But look at the value on Volkmar. He's not a cheap hero by any stretch, but just his ability to buff the front line, his ability to nuke infantry, and just deal a lot of damage and heal through a lot of damage is really significant. So pretty fun game, but very thematic game, I guess. Volkmar dealing with the foul heretics of chaos. Interesting pick, the Sigors. They actually got both really good damage, and this one I think spent most of the game in combat, and probably not a bad use for him in this force, to be honest. He actually got a few really good hits in on Volkmar. Probably buff it out. Had the help of the spawn summons and Morgur in there. Good value on the Beastcaster. A couple of really nice Flocks of Doom. I got very blobbed up with my Flagellants. It's kind of how I wanted to play, to make the most of the buffs and just sort of move in a big death blob. But the really no answer for the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They could pick their engagements. No Centigors with great weapons. For the armor piercing, or the throwing axes. That banishment in the early game really wore them down. But the Ungors couldn't really. Well, these guys have got some good value, but they didn't really do a lot of damage. Didn't really probably do. They probably just needed that small arms fire to work down the infantry line, and then you could just win the numbers game with the spears and force and allow the Besticles just not to be fighting 1-to-1 and taking charges and fighting in amongst lower tier infantry, so their armor piercings are a bit more impactful. But yeah, cool game. Obviously a very, very thematic list. I wouldn't suggest taking this to necessarily to many tournaments. I think Knights of the Blazing Sun are a 3-unit max on the banner rule caps, but yeah, a really fun, I guess it's just a thematic build. That's what we're into here at its current year. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to F Strat Oglu 0 for the game, and thank you guys for checking it out. Until next time, take care.